Welcome back to Trent on Track, where we are into the medal positions. We are into a top three, and we have an absolute banger of a match coming up. It's going to be Moonveil taking on EVO Esports for that place in the grand final and the chance to try and topple Geese Can Fly.
It's brilliant. I didn't expect EVO to come out of that previous match and not to perform in such a strong way. Honestly, they could give Moonveil a scare here.
Yeah.
I still think Moonveil might be the favourites, but it's going to be tough.
I don't even think it's fair to call Moonveil the favourites right now. I think EVO looked so strong on pace in that previous match, and sure, there was the issues with crashing, but hey, we're talking about Moonveil here, and you know, we have seen, as unfortunate as it is, we've seen some of those issues for Divino as well. I mean, if EPOS doesn't win every round here, which is a tall order against the pace that Josh has been putting up as well, this could be a very difficult match for Moonveil. I think EVO are pretty evenly matched coming into this one.
Honestly, yeah, I think it's going to come down to two players in particular.
Yep.
How consistent Divino can be. You know, he always has consistent, decent pace, but can just end up kind of getting in his own head a bit and crashing a lot. And I'd almost say the same, possibly even more extreme for Josh, because Josh doesn't have a player of the caliber of EPOS to back him up. Key is an exceptionally good player, but not quite EPOS's level, so...
Which is not an insult at all.
Oh, absolutely not. I never feel bad saying, like, oh, their teammate isn't as strong, but when you're dealing with EVO...
Yeah.
When you're dealing with EPOS,
Moonveil
you know.
with first pick and EVO with pick 2 and 3, so not going with peak first, which is what we were speculating they might do over on the analyst test, because it has looked tough for EVO. That will drop further down the order. EVO will, of course, pick Perfect Blue as map 2, looking to try and get through that one as quickly as possible. And then the question is, what do they go with next? Flower of the Garden might kind of favor both teams. I personally don't think that's a great direction to go, but past there, I don't know, maybe Wildfire?
I mean, we've had Wildfire. Wildfire was first pick.
Oh, sorry, yeah, of course. It is Flower of the Ground.
We get Flower of the Ground. We're getting all the 360s pushed to the very end. I got to be honest, I don't think either seemed to particularly enjoy that. So, yeah, we're going to see Soccer and then Peak.
I think that's crazy, frankly. I am shocked the Peak is 5th and the Moonveil have let it drop all the way down. It looked horrific for EVO, frankly. They were having a rough time of it, specifically, you know, that first drift on Peak as well for Josh. He was having a real tough time of it in that last map, and it feels like that could have been an option for them to try and get out in front very quickly. But no, all the way to 5th pick, and so if we get to map 5, that's the only time we'll see it. That is going to be tough, I think, as well for EVO, though. If this does end up going to a map 5, that is a difficult way for them to finish this match off.
Yeah, there can be a slight benefit to having your stronger maps towards the end, because it doesn't really matter what order you win the 3 maps in. But if you're, you know, getting to the crunch, if it's, you know, a 2-1 scoreline, 2-2 scoreline, you want those good maps there, not all used up at the beginning, almost. I mean, some teams think there's a real strategy to this, some think there's no strategy to it, and you just pick whatever. But... yeah, it's an interesting draft. I think Wildfire is going to be a brilliant litmus test for what happens in this match, because it almost shows Josh and Key's style of play perfectly. They lost it against Split. They won it against Wolves. You almost couldn't make that up in a way when you compare the caliber of play on those two different teams. If they can keep if they can look good on Wildfire, I expect them to carry that momentum all the way through the match. If they look shaky on Wildfire, if they struggle to win that, then it's going to be really tough for the rest of the match. It's so much momentum coming into this, and yeah, can Josh pick up where he left off at the end of last game, I think, is my big question.
Absolutely. I mean, look, you don't want to call any map over before we've even gotten into match, but you know, if EVO can win on Wildfire, and then they're going to Perfect Blue straight afterwards, what a start that'll be for them. You have to imagine the Perfect Blue performance would be strong, especially if they're already carrying momentum. They have to get there first, though, and to do it, they have to go through Moonveil on Wildfire. It's produced some incredibly exciting rounds already across the competition, and I do not expect that to slow down here in our lower bracket final spot in the grand finals on the line. We are underway with Moonveil versus EVO Esports.
Yeah, and we get started. We've seen this Outside Dirt claim so many lives, and Key and Josh both fall to it. This is exactly what we were saying, that it's a bit of a litmus test, and the litmus test has come out Moonveil coloured for this first round, till Divino has a very strange mistake there, gotta be said. So EPOS left alone at the front. Going on a nice Sunday drive now,
yeah,
I think.
Divino, I think, has just respawned again. Key has just respawned again. So whatever's going on at the back, it is not great. So let's stay on board where things are understandable and safe in our top two. Josh is a second and a half down. This should be safe enough for Epos to finish out from here. Just needs to not get it completely wrong on this jump, and doesn't. Avoids the flag, as we saw Josh go into that on the previous match. But it's not as bad, I think, as it could be for EVO right now, with Josh sitting in second and hopefully being able to lock that one in. Will do so. Divino should be able to take third comfortably here. That could very easily have been an ace to start things off for Moonveil. EVO Esports, they get away with it a little bit in round one.
They get away with it a bit, but tell you what, Epos throwing down some initial pace straight away, driving a sub 57 there. Yeah. I said he was out on a Sunday drive all by himself, but he was racing around those corners.
It's going to be so interesting to see the pace for Epos on some of these maps as well, because, you know, we've seen Josh setting those PBs that are incredibly close to the world records that he himself set this morning online, but it always feels like Epos probably has that extra little bit of pace in the back pocket if needed, and hopefully these two are really going to push each other on times over the course of this match. Yeah,
well, it's a cleaner start from everyone. By this point last time, it was just Epos out by himself. This time it is Key actually with a small lead here. Followed by the two Moonveil players, and then Josh in last for the time being, but a 10th separating them is certainly the current positions. Honestly, not going to mean a lot, although Key's lead is getting bigger and bigger. We head down towards this all-important jump. Is everyone going to make it?
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely. Epos has been cooking through this section, went so wide on that first entry drift and has carried that speed all the way through. Just needs to keep it clean to the finish line now, and we will get a draw in round two as EVO tie on track. 133 plus 0.133 for both of them from Epos's time, and it's again a 57 near flat from Epos there. The time has been very solid and gaining on that kind of difficult middle sector as well.
Yeah, I mean, we said in the last cast, but EVO is one of the few teams where you kind of can't point to one player being stronger than the other, and I think that shows it perfectly as they managed to tie up for a draw there. Advantage still very slightly to Moonveil, but this track still has a lot to give. It is a strong start from Key and Josh, though. Divino makes a mistake that could be quite costly. It is all on Epos now to hold it together and to try and limit damage to, well, ideally draw, but at worst a victory.
Yep. So again, watch this entry drift. Epos went so wide last time around. This time around, it's Key who's wide, and it'll be Key who has the speed, and Josh faster than Epos as well. And all of a sudden, this section may be a little bit scary. The exit, though, not ideal from Josh. And, well, the landing is great. That's fantastic speed from Josh, who moves cleanly up, not just in second, but into first. Key is having a little bit of a wobble on the inside. Epos is fast on the outside. Key clips. Epos won't catch Josh, and Key will make it to the line. So it is a round win for EVO. And it was Josh on that plastic jump, full risking it, really far left. And I'm glad to see his meeting with the pole on the last match has not deterred him from going for that very risky line through there.
Yeah, that was absolutely exceptional, that end from Josh. It's a shame for EVO that Key wasn't quite there to back it up, but it gives us a very nice tied-up match, 4-4 on this first map, trading blows, and I really cannot tell you which way it's going to go. I'm going to tell you, though, that Divino does need to make sure that he's there on some of these rounds. This round, again, a small clip on the outside dirt, but a bigger one from Key. So that is basically going to lock in third and fourth position. It is now Josh versus EVO versus Epos for first place.
Yeah. This time around, it's Epos who's once again wider, so that lead will extend as we get down towards the plastic ever so slightly. How far left is Josh going to push it this time around? Not super far, and does keep it out of the pole for the moment. Epos's lead looking pretty secure at this point. The end still failable, but with the gap he has, Epos is jumping pretty far to the right. Josh pushes it a little bit, but the gap too big. Josh will take second, and that's world record by Epos, beating the previous time by about half a tenth or a tenth. And with Divino in position, it's also a round win. Moonveil will pick up a point and regain that lead.
Yep, Epos took a look at that 4 AM world record and decided it should be beaten in the sensible hours of the day. What a round
lasted
there.
Near exactly 12 hours.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it was one of the things I was looking at Josh, like, he's still on a really good run, and yet Epos has absolutely gapped him, and that is why driving a low 0.7 in rounds, well, it's literally unheard of. We haven't seen it before.
And I mean, to be clear as well, there definitely was time still to gain on Epos's run there. Did not really push the final jump as hard as he possibly could have. The finish was relatively safe, not as far right as he could have gone as well. There was a tenth or two left on track visibly there by Epos, and still drove the world record. That means you're probably feeling the pressure right now if you're Key, sitting in front of EPOS, who is so quick through this section of track. But with a gap of 2:10, EPOS might be feeling okay about it. And they'll take the draw at this point. That will put them on track point. They take an ace as Key full crashing out, not able to make that jump. Davino in second. EPOS looking to bring it home in first, has just gone for the safe fin. The gap should be big enough. Davino will win the round. EPOS will come in second. And it got close. Josh nearly got the snipe off. Calculated, I guess.
That was the riskiest safe finish I think I've ever seen. That came down to, what, 300ths of a second there. Yeah, that has taken this match, which looked so close here, on Wildfire, and with his massive advantage at Moonveil now, they're going to need a double mistake. And unfortunately, the first mistake has come out from Key. I dare say that is going to be map over, and Moonveil taking the first track without something miraculous happening.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels unlikely, shall we say, that both EPOS and Davino fail from this point, especially a failure that would lose them 6 seconds. Going to be quite challenging. So a little bit unfortunate there for EVO. The map 1 ends this way. Josh looking to just get a good time, maybe take that world record back. Hey, you've no reason not to full send right now anyway. Even if you crash, I don't think it's going to change an awful lot. We're going to get an exciting round to finish things off here on Wildfire as EPOS and Josh trading the lead backwards and forwards. EPOS is so low, ends up high. Good speed from both of them around these final few corners. How far do you push it to the left on this jump? For EPOS, the answer is very. Josh will hold on to the lead though, and a gap of 200. It's a time of 56.8. Incredible round to close things out, but it is Moonveil taking map 1.
Yeah, there's such a close final round with insane times, but unfortunately, in the dynamic of the overall map, didn't really matter, but was good entertainment. As much as I said this would be a litmus test, this first map, EVO didn't look bad.
No,
there were mistakes, but it's not like the performance they put up against Geese Can Fly or one they put up against Split. You know, they still looked quick, and Josh looked pretty locked in. So I still expect going into Perfect Blue, this should be theirs.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, Perfect Blue is, as we've said so many times, the track they've looked best on in this tournament. They've looked nearly unbeatable on it. I'm not going to say completely unbeatable because there are still mistakes coming out from both players a couple of times, but it's going to be difficult for EVO to extend their lead on the match here. Trying to go up 2-0 on this one. If they do manage to take away Perfect Blue, if they go up 2-0, I think that's potentially it. Like, that feels kind of match breaking, that feels tournament breaking for EVO, but that is a tall task. We'll look and see. We'll wait and see. I'm looking forward to this map in particular. I think it was always going to be kind of one of the major battlegrounds of this series.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, as much as it should be advantage EVO, that means absolutely nothing until they actually pick it up. So, going into Perfect Blue, it's a map we've seen a fair bit on the second day in particular, it feels like. And yeah, we all know it now. We all know the influence of the NASCAR section, the chance for those early mistakes, and most importantly, that jump up and finish. We've seen so many good rounds, so many mistakes. How can EVO do on it? Can they stop Moonveil?
Yep, well, fingers crossed that's not going to help. Early mistake from Josh, dropping a wheel into that hole, and it puts pressure on Key. But Key has at times been able to step up and limit the damage for the team when Josh has been making those mistakes. And frankly, Josh's mistake, not the end of the world. Less than a second behind the lead at the moment, now over a second behind the lead, continuing to lose speed. Davino has a great line through the NASCAR, did have to release slightly at the end there, and so Key maintains that lead through this middle sector.
Yeah, it's looking likely for a draw here. Gotta say, EPOS' round not looking incredible as he does catch up and overtake his teammate. I think the gap to Key is just going to be a bit too much. We get a respawn from Davino. How far down is that going to put him? Look like a double respawn. I'm guessing required to try and make that quarter pipe because it's really tough if you don't sometimes. So Key goes for a risky finish, gets across the line, a new world record!
God damn!
I did not realise his time looked that good. I was talking about how far behind EPOS was. EPOS was on a fine time.
EPOS was alright, yeah.
That's probably a round winning time most of the times, but no, you got a 0.5 world record coming out from Key. 2 maps, 2 world records. What more can you ask of from the series?
Yeah, I mean, this has been the tournament of, you know, someone telling their teammate, like, ooh, need you to push here, and the push just being incredibly successful. We've seen it from Moonveil, and I feel like that was the call there. Now, the push here is going to be very difficult for EVO. I'm not sure there's any kind of spectacular push that can catch up a second and a half. Nearly 2 seconds for over 2 seconds. 3 seconds now for Key. And Moonveil do have the chance to kind of safe this one out. The risky fin on this track, the safe fin, doesn't lose you kind of a full second, so almost definitely a safe Finn angle here, assuming that they can make it through this quarter pipe cleanly, and they will. Nice high jump from Divino. Epos is still nice and low, really looking to just maximize that for absolutely no reason, and this should be it. Surely you turn left here. They will both go for the safe Finn. Epos goes very far right on the safe Finn, and they will pick up the round win, and not just a round win, an ace for Moonveil, moving back into the lead of this match.
Yeah, I think that's an unfortunate summary of EVO as a team. They drive world record with victory round 1 and then get aced by the third corner in round 2.
Yeah.
It's really going to be back and forth, but they just need to play like they did towards the end of that Worlds match, and I think they still should be able to pick up this map. They might be 2 points down, but I don't think it's over by any means at all.
And not sure what happened to Epos there at the start of the track. Lost 5/10 in one corner and didn't see any obvious clips. Doesn't matter how it happened. What matters is that it has happened, and Epos now kind of out of this round a little bit as Divino is trying to push and catch, but great NASCAR turn out of both Josh and Key. They extend the lead down to third place, and a counter race for them here would be great for confidence, would be great for positioning in the match overall. Key gets so close to the inside there. Divino gets so close to the outside there, ends up jumping very high, so not a lot of ground to be gained from that outside push. Josh and Key are wheel to wheel, hand in hand towards the finish line. They do need to risk it this time around. It'll be safe in for Divino, but both of the EVO players finish, and that is the counter race.
Yeah, that is exactly what they needed to maintain a chance here on their own map here, to get back into the lead, which frankly they we expected them to have on this track, and they've done what's needed. 4-5 scoreline, it's looking close.
It's looking very close so far. This is where Epos's mistake came through in the last round. This time around, survives, is very wide on that exit, drops back a car length or 2 on this one, but a much tighter round to start things off here. The pace for EVO on this track feels relatively unmatched. I mean, as evidenced by the fact they're handing around the world record between themselves a little bit on that one. It really does come down to if they can avoid crashes, and so far in this round they have done so. An ace here would be huge.
Yeah, and I've got to say, it's very rare I will ever say this sentence, but Epos not looking comfortable on this track.
Yeah.
As we see a mistake come out from him, and it's all on Divino to try and deny an ace here, give Moonveil any kind of chance. He gets past 1. Is he going to get past 2? He's got the speed! Not quite! 15 thousandths, but denying the ace, getting it at least limited to a victory. It stops the gap being insurmountable for Moonveil here, but it is track point for EVO.
God, that was such a great final turn. That final tech turn, there is time to be gained in it, and I love that final straight then down towards the risky Finn, where you see the speed advantage start to compound itself. So nearly managing to catch first place there. Unfortunately, Divino not quite able to, but Divino having to do a lot of heavy lifting on this track for the team is not going to be able to in this round, as Epos had already fallen behind. Divino will fall further behind, and EVO Esports have the chance to close out Perfect Blue immediately. Little bit of a slide there from Key, not ideal. Divino's not that far behind. Key is going to be potentially at risk a little bit, but should still have a comfortable advantage. Just needs to get this quarter pipe right.
It's going to require a fairly big push, though, from Divino. I mean, we saw it last round going through our final section, but we're going to need a good quarter pipe from Divino. That's okay, but not brilliant. Not really going to catch up the gap required. That is not a good tech turn. As we see Josh go safe. Key does go for the risky. And that is an ace. EVO wrap it up on their map pick. We go 1-1 in the series.
Yeah, I mean, to a degree, mildly expected with how it's gone on Perfect Blue for EVO previously, absolutely. But you still need to get it done, and it's not necessarily easy to get it done. They gave themselves work to do, giving up that early ace. Moonveil going ahead at that point of the track as well. A little bit difficult for EVO to pull that one back. Solid mental resilience to pull that one back too. And we'll see now how they go as we move on to our next track. Definitely going to be interesting to see how things continue to play out. The pick was from EVO for track 3, a Flower of the Ground, which I think is interesting that they've gone that direction, because that's the direction Moonveil go. I mean, it's kind of whichever team had been picking track 3, I think we'd have ended up on a Flower of the Ground.
Yeah, realistically. And I mean, they looked good on Flower of Ground. They beat out Acros and Wizzy on it, which is, you know, on a more traditional comp map than something like Perfect Blue.
Sure.
It's quite impressive to beat our players of that caliber, so they might still have a chance here, but I think it's going to be tough against a player such as Epos, and so long as Divino is there to support, I can't quite call this one, but it's like it might ever so slightly favour Moonveil.
Possibly. Very hard to tell. I mean, are we feeling another world record on the track as well?
Oh, I mean, you got to go for it. We can't not get a world record again.
We're 2 for 2 already.
Tradition.
Yep. 2 for 2, 2 maps down, 1-1 on the scoreboard. This is such an important track 3. As kind of saying there, feels very much like neutral ground in terms of, does it favor either team? I'd struggle to say yes, either direction. And then whichever team does come out on top, whichever team can pull out the victory, will be on match point already. Flying by in our lower bracket final, and they are flying out on track at the moment. Josh falling slightly behind through the first few corners, but it is incredibly close among that top 2, top 3.
Yeah, the fight between Epos and Key here, hundreds between them, if that. As we continue down through this dirt section, Epos very much known for his outside dirt skills. Gets a little bit of a gap, but, well, how did Key rescue that?
He didn't.
He did not rescue it. That is very unfortunate from the Polish player, as that gifts the win to Epos. Just still there to go and deny the ace, assuming no catastrophes. Bit of shame Divino couldn't get second for the sake of Moonveil, but, yeah, starting off with a strong performance from Epos here on a flower of the ground.
Yeah, great time. 3 tenths, 2.5 tenths off world record as well. It will be a round win for Moonveil to kick things off. And yeah, I mean, hey, just unfortunate mistake from Key. The entry onto the reactor grass in the middle of the track, just not exactly perfect. Looked like he'd rescued it, not able to from there. But the pace we know is there still from all 4 of these players. Even Divino could pull this out of the bag at some point.
Yeah, and Divino is doing so far. Early lead to this map. To this round, as Josh is a little bit behind. It's looking strong for Moonveil. Josh is going to have to push, and Key is going to have to get past at least one of them if they want to try and limit damage, because this is currently flying in an ace formation, and as the map continues, the gap seems to be getting bigger and bigger. How does Key negotiate this outside dirt? I gotta say, wasn't the most gingerly is a very, very good word there, as it is Epos and Divino out front, looking likely for an ace.
Yeah, Key kind of needs to be in push mode right now, and as evidenced by that outside dirt, was kind of playing a little bit safe. I mean, it doesn't get worse than an ace anyway. Nothing to lose at this point of the round. Key needs to try and send it at least in this final corner, but it's too little, it's too late. It's an ace for Moonveil. Not blisteringly fast times, but they did what they needed to.
Yeah, and that is an example of how threatening they can be when Divino has a good run. He shows his pace. He's only a few hundredths off of Epos, and he does manage to back them up to get the ace.
Yeah, it was EVO Esports falling a little bit behind relatively early in the track and then never really being able to make up the time in the back half. So good starts, important, definitely on Flower of the Garden, and this time around they are off to much better ones. Key sitting in first, just in front of Epos. Josh right up in the mix as well. A 10th separating that top 3, and Divino is making himself known as well, coming straight back at the EVO players. And in fact, Epos now pulling away in the distance. This could turn very ugly for either team very quickly.
Oh yeah, any mistakes here will be so costly, but you got to say it'd be worse for EVO. 5-1 down already. They really need to, I mean, ideally get an ace or a victory here. I don't think it's going to happen. Epos in the lead with a couple of attempts gap. You wouldn't expect him to make a mistake. Only a few corners left to go though. Josh and Key neck and neck trying to chase down Epos. I don't think it's going to be enough. How fast is the pace this round? We get another 0.0 coming out from Epos. He is looking absolutely rapid here on a Flower of the Garden. Yeah, I mean, hey, honestly, a great round in terms of just all of the drivers driving good times, keeping it clean and keeping it out of the walls. There's kind of that last... Oh, Divino. The chance for EVO Esports now maybe to claw something a little bit back. Now, not the most costly mistake, had the reactor, is only a few tenths down from it as a result. And in a round where EVO really need to start pushing, where they really need to try and deny Epos that first place and pick up some points themselves, there's the chance that one of them is going to put it in the wall at some point, and Divino is right there to capitalize if that happens. Yeah, it is Epos versus Key at the front. Josh and Divino at the back, as Divino has caught up a decent chunk of the time. Ooh. And a clip from Epos is... How costly is that going to be? I don't think we've seen the full extent of it yet as Key runs away. Josh hunting down Epos. The difference for EVO here, if they can get an ace, it blows this map wide open on their second pick. Divino is out of contention. All that matters, Josh versus Epos. Slight touch from Josh. Bigger touch from Josh. Divino isn't out of contention. We see a PB from Key, but unfortunately from Josh, a really costly little mistake there.
Yeah, there's some shouting going on stage right now, dissecting the match while it's still ongoing. But Moonveil moved to match point, not match point, track point rather, not quite at match point just yet, and it has been on the back of some very solid performances from EPOS. Divino has been there though on this track, has been able to capitalize on the mistakes, not making big errors, not dropping a long way down even when he does make errors, and that's been important for Moonveil in matches that they've won, that Divino is there, even if the time is a little bit slower sometimes, still able to just be there, while EPOS forces other drivers to make mistakes by virtue of just pushing them beyond the limits of their comfort.
Absolutely, and it almost looked like it's that layout again. EPOS in first, Josh and Key behind either of the EVO players going to make a mistake. Yep, yes they are. There goes Key. Key is the first of them. Will we see anything from Josh here, or will they be limited to admittedly a victory that would put Moonveil on a 9-4 scoreline? That's going to be a very, very big margin to try and make up.
Yeah, absolutely, and it does look like that's how it's going to shake out. More speed though, hang on! Divino can't catch.
Almost V8.
It got
Not
close.
Quite.
It got very close, closer than it looked like right into those final corners, and whew, we nearly had the map win right there. We're still probably about a round away from it. EPOS has looked unstoppable so far on the track, and I think denying him a top 2 position is going to be tough. The pace for the EVO players might be there. There is a chance that both of the EVO players put together a round that can beat EPOS out, but I mean, it's do or die time. You got to get it done in one round. There is no more mistakes allowed.
Yeah, and to be honest, even pushing as fast as they can, I'm not even sure that they beat EPOS.
Sure.
You know, we saw Key set a PB there. Good run from him, but it was about what EPOS had been driving every round. I think they need a mistake here from EPOS, realistically. And not just EPOS, but Divino there as well. They need to get past both of them. And currently, that is not going to happen. That will be the map going the way of Moonveil. They just got to make it around a couple more corners without falling off track, and they should be all good. And we'll be heading into soccer, not football next.
Yeah, great line from Key at the end there. The exit from that grass does feel like the scariest last place on the track. Great end from EPOS will beat out Key to the finish line and secure the victory for Moonveil. They move up to match point. They just need one more, and there's going to be 360s involved to get it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to expect here from EVO on a Flower of the Ground. Of course, this was a pick just about by Moonveil, as by the time you're getting down to map 4, you're just picking which one you hate least, to be honest. But
look, I'll say it. I'm sorry for bringing it up again. It's crazy to me that we're not going to peak right now, that Moonveil left peak till last. I feel like it's a track they absolutely could have beaten EVO on, and may still have to if we go to map 5. But it's very much the thing of, like, it doesn't have to be your best map. You have to be better than your opponent on it, right? And I think right now, if we were heading to peak with EVO 2-1 up, you're kind of sitting there going, like, this is going to go great.
But equally, I mean, they still get to peak eventually.
That's true.
It might just be taking the long way around, but they still will get to peak eventually. And I'm really not sure what to expect from Flower on the Ground, because, you know, against Split, I think Key had a really standout performance as a player on a Flower of the Ground. And
well, we're going to soccer because we've just played Flower of the Ground.
I meant soccer, not football. Okay, scrap everything I've said, replace it with soccer, not football, and move on. So, yeah, I think he had a really standout performance on It's Soccer Not Football. You know, he was driving within a few tenths of world record basically every single round. And I caught him in the corridor afterwards, and I said, like, oh yeah, such a good performance on my first map. And he was like, it was okay, I should be driving sub. That's the most Trackmania player thing I think I've ever heard, is I compliment them on their performance after they drive, you know, 4 very fast, clean rounds. And they go, I mean, it wasn't that good, so...
It could have been better. Could have won harder.
Maybe he'll prove us right. Maybe he'll do the same performance and EPOS will be 2 attempts ahead every round. Or maybe Key is just putting himself down a little bit here. Either way, EPOS won't be 2 attempts ahead this round. That is a poor start for him.
Yeah, little clip, falling behind, 3 tenths, 4 tenths down at that checkpoint. Half a second down now. Josh, though, losing speed as well. Nepos into the downhill will be trying to catch. It's still awkward for Josh into the bug slide. Driving recovery lines, has dropped into 4th place, but has at least kept the car on track at the moment. The battle up front is between Divino and Key, and I think quietly, this has been one of Divino's better tracks as well. Has driven very quickly on it, was able, obviously, to get that excellent snipe to close out a track at the end of yesterday. And at this point now, is starting to look clear in 1st place. EPOS is coming back up on Key as well as we head into the 360. Clean from Divino, clean from Epos and from Key, but it's cleanest for Moonveil as they cross the line 1-2 and pick up an ace in round 1.
Yeah, I mean, I said at the very start, like, well, you know, Epos isn't going to finish ahead of Key this round. Well, he did. How much pace does Epos have in the bank if that's how he does after a start where he clips?
Epos fell at worst at the start there, I believe, just over half a second down and finished 2/10 behind the lead in a round where, you know, Divino didn't really make any mistakes.
Yeah, to be honest, if you do the quick maths, I think Epos should have been on for a sub there.
Yeah, potentially. Well, we'll find out maybe on this round as Key does lead the way. That's a touch from Divino. Is probably going to be able to recover that one slightly. Shouldn't be respawning or completely out of it and will stay on track. But it does mean Key versus Epos becomes a very important battle right now. Can EVO start to close the gap a little bit, or does Epos hold them to the draw? Epos has been quick through this turn in particular. Goes very far on the outside there, but Key is gaining, has overtaken as we head towards the 360. Exit is going to be so important. Josh is still here as well. Epos so clean on that exit, should be able to hold on for a first place, and Key and Josh cross second and third. It's a tie. The lead stays at 3.
Well, I'm starting to think that maybe Moonveil did know what they were doing when they went to pick into this track. You know, Epos is Epos is looking very, very comfortable here, and even though Divino had a poor round that time, first round he was quick as well. So, you know, if you're in that kind of a layout, worst case scenario you draw, best case scenario you ace. You're going to win the round. You're going to win the map eventually, either way. Admittedly, Divino making it perhaps a long way around after that start. Going to put him about 3-4 attempts down, I reckon. Well, Epos is scrapping with Josh and Key ahead. EVO really could use an ace or a victory here. Not going to get it with that mistake from Kivo.
Yeah, Divino has recovered really well from that early little bit of airtime that kind of led to the few tenths deficit. Is now getting relatively close to Josh as well. Has the chance maybe with a really good 360 even to snipe out second place. Of course, Josh could do the same to Epos. If there's a clean 360 here at the end, goes for it very early, carries good speed out of it as well. I don't think we're going to see positional changes at this finish line, so it'll be a round win for Moonveil. It's a PB for Epos as well. He gets within a tenth of the world record there as well. And yeah, you're right. Moonveil looking very, very strong on soccer, not football right now.
Oh, we've seen world records on 2 of 3 maps so far. I don't think it's possible we see one here based off that time from Epos. Driving so close to the world record, 0.8 in rounds is absolutely absurd. It's got to be said. And Moonveil looking to wrap up not only this map, but the entire match pretty quickly here.
Yeah, although Divino crashing there will not make life easier for them. Epos does need to have that pace in the back half of the map. That'll help Key. Full slide out in the bug slide. Hasn't respawned behind, which means it'll be a very slow restart and getting back on track just there. Divino, though, continues to drop back behind as well. So close battle at the back, close battle at the front as well. Good speed into the uphill dirt from Josh. Epos goes very wide on the exit here, though, and carries a lot of speed down the hill. So he's going to claw a little bit of that back as we head into the 360. Who gets a clean exit? Epos having to readjust a little bit on entry, gives Josh the chance to extend that lead out towards the finish line. So it'll be a 1 for Josh, and Key finishes in third as well. Epos finally getting some points back on the track.
For the first time on this map, we see the deficit close up a little bit, but EVO really gonna need, frankly, aces here going forwards, because we are on match point. An 8th here from Moonveil would wrap up the series, would send them through to a grand final for a rematch up against Geese Can Fly. EVO have maybe a couple more rounds to do something about that. They have to block the ace this time and ideally replace it with one of their own.
Yeah, Divino's made mistakes on this section of track a lot, which is interesting. He did very well on it yesterday. Makes a little bit of a mistake there. Mild illegal wall bang, only lost a couple of tenths. He's okay. And Josh is moving slowly up this hill as well. That'll be Divino into third. Epos, though, having to readjust and release, has moved back down into second. Key overtaking Josh, 3 tenths down now, and it is moving a lot here. Key, a lot of pressure on those shoulders right now. Cannot afford to fail this 360. If Epos and Divino are through, that's it. We are done here. Key will fail the 360. Epos and Divino are through, and they will get their chance at a rematch. They are heading to a grand final, and it will be Geese Can Fly against Moonveil for the title at Trent on track.
Yep, EVO looked good on their first map pick, but other than that, that was a fairly dominant performance from Moonveil. As the match went on, they seemed to get better and better, and by the time we got on to It's Soccer Not Football, I don't think EVO really had a look in.
Yeah, that's the thing. They kind of did. The pace was almost there at times, but it definitely was just EPOS pace on that final track. And the consistency from Divino, again, look, I'll hold up my hands and say you were right and Moonveil were right. That was a good pick in fourth pick for them, absolutely. And part of the reason I think it's been a good pick for them as well is it has looked very good for Divino in particular.
Yeah, well, I mean, you say just Divino in particular.
I mean, EPOS is obviously driving incredible times.
Oh, yeah, EPOS drove over, 0.88 on it, which is an absolutely bonkers time. So, yeah, I think even with Key and Josh playing well, it would have just been a little too much to make up. It was a strong performance from them in this match. It wasn't one where it looked like they kind of capitulated early on or something, but it was just a little too much. And we're going to end up with Moonveil versus Geese Can Fly, a rematch going into the final.
Oh, it's going to be so good. Yep.
It's going to be good.
Hey, look, commiserations to EVO, but that was a fantastic tournament for them. Third place is absolutely incredible, and they did push some very good teams very close to the edge as well along the way. I think they can be very proud of the finish position they managed to get on that one. But I'm looking forward to potentially, I think we're going to get a little bit of an interview in a minute here, just before the grand finals, and see what thoughts are as we get on into that one as well. It's going to be a hell of a grand final. It's been a hell of a tournament so far. Thank you so much to everyone who's been joining us so far. We're going to send it across to that interview where EPOS is standing by.
Yes, I'm joined here with EPOS, one of the best in British talent that we've got, and obviously winner of the last match. Congratulations. You're going to be going through to the grand finals up against Geese Can't Fly in a little bit of a rematch there. I want to go back to the first map in this series, where obviously you pulled out the online world record. Obviously, I imagine it's a little bit slower than your offline record. Yeah. Do you guys still think you've got a little bit more in the tank to push on a lot of the maps, or are you sort of looking like you're at the peak?
To be honest, I think we have a lot of time when it comes to Perfect Blue by Link. I think we can do much better than we did. I think between us, we didn't finish a single clean, except no, Vinky finished one good round, but I think I ended up crashing like every single round, which is, yeah, it's just not right. I think we could have won the map if I play well, but now we definitely have more in the tank, especially on Perfect Blue and what's the map called? Peak. For sure.
Okay, amazing. I mean, hopefully we'll see that into the grand finals. Maybe you'll need to do it up against, Geese Can Fly. They're incredibly fast players. Mm-hmm. One interesting thing with your team dynamic is that you guys are very vocal. A little bit of trash talking with the enemy team, a little bit of jokes between yourselves. Do you think that helps you guys really achieve your best when you're playing on stage?
I think it's just a feel-good for us, to be honest. And also, if there's any chance that it gets into the other people's minds, then obviously it's a good thing for us. But nah, I think we're just gassed when we do a good round. If we get a good ace with good times, we're both hyped. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Amazing. It's really good to see. Obviously, everyone's here to have a bit of fun, and you guys are definitely having that on stage, which is lovely to see. Yeah. Going to the grand finals now, again, rematch up against Geese Can Fly. Yeah. It was a bit of a shaky match last time. Yep. How's the mentality going into this next one? Obviously, you have a lot of time to practice, obviously, with a match in between, chance to reset. What's going to be your game plan going into it?
I mean, to be honest, it'd be sick to win, but I think our goal was top 4. So getting to the finals, we're just going to go see what happens. And yeah, we can capitalize if they make some mistakes and maybe win. We'll see.
Well, I hope they win too. Let's see what the analyst desk has to say about it too.
Thanks for that. And with that, we have our grand final set. It's Moonveil versus Geese Can't Fly, the rematch that we all kind of wanted to see after the upper bracket finals. But yeah, commiserations go to EVO Esports. They'll be happy with top 3, surely.
Yeah, I think they've come back well after a rough sort of few matches yesterday, and early today they kind of struggled a bit, but then to beat Wolves was a really good performance, so I think they'll be pretty happy with third.
Yeah, and third place, they're still going to win prizes, and they could still go home with their heads held high. They proved that, yeah, they've still got the pace. It's just, again, we've mentioned it all day, consistency just not there at the crucial moments.
Yeah, I think that they've been victorious in probably what can be described as the only upset so far against Wolves. I think most people would have backed Wolves, backed Wizzy and Acros, as I did. And yeah, they just put together a great performance, and ultimately they could have won that match as well. Just, yeah, a few mistakes. EPOS put together some great rounds, and also I think it's the Divino factor, right? Divino towards the end of that match looked far more consistent than he has been in some other maps, and was able to back EPOS up. They got those aces as well. I think that is the key. If Divino can back EPOS up, drive a great round, and they can get those aces, which are so powerful in this format, then yeah, Moonveil can really put the pressure on the other team. just doesn't happen quite often enough. I think that's maybe why they're not super confident going into the grand final, because they know that Boz and Jaden will always be on the pace. They're not that prone to making mistakes as EVO are. So it will be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, I think that was one of Divino's best games in this tournament so far. Pretty much flawless through most of the maps. When Epos had that sort of wobble during Perfect Blue, that they've both admitted not their strongest map going into the grand final, Divino stepped up and kept that game close. Like, that wasn't a stomp in the slightest by EVO. And yeah, going forward, like, if Epos has that soft moment or like bit of a wobble, Divinos is there. The pace is definitely there from them.
Yeah, I mean, they hadn't played Perfect Blue at all coming into this match and this tournament, so it was always going to be a bit of a shaky one for them, I felt. Especially with the pace that Key and Josh have got on there. They were probably the best team on the tournament in it, so that was always kind of a given. I think they're incredibly strong on nearly every other map, though. I was very surprised that Flower got picked, though, with Epos having like 8 of the best 10 times driven in the tournament before the match. And then,
in fairness, Josh is setting world records in his sleep. So, yeah, and they're going to want to try and get more world records in this grand final, because 2 of the 4 maps we played saw world records being set, and the fact that we're getting that pace this late into a tournament, really impressive to see from the players.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Epos and Boz countless times in solo tournaments, trading world records, like the amount of close rounds we've seen between them. We saw it earlier as well, flashes of it, not as much as usual. Obviously, in the 2v2 format, it's important to have your teammate backing you up. But we said in that upper final, we said it feels like this will be the grand final as well. That's what's happened. We've got our repeat. Is the dynamic going to be any different? I mean, Epos usually, the more the pressure mounts, the better he performs. I'm really hoping Divino can kind of match that, match Epos's energy as well, and really give us a good grand final here. They seem happy with top 4, but I'm sure Epos and Divino, the competitors in them, they still ultimately want to win. And if they feel like they have a chance, I'm sure that they'll take it.
Yeah, it's a narrative writer's dream, right? The upper bracket final, the loser of that game goes right back into the grand final. We get the revenge game. We see who takes home those top prizes. We can go through those a little bit now. Obviously, EVO getting the share of the 3rd place. They'll be getting £370 and some beautiful bronze medals. The second place going to get 555 and some silver medals, and then the winner getting these 2 trophies, these 2 beautiful trophies, a gold medal, £740, and these Wooting keyboards that Prod have been trying to steal all day. Understandable, these are very, very good keyboards. But yeah, like, this is such a difficult one to call. Geese Can Fly not playing as much as Moonveil have on stage. They've not played as much today at all, and they've not been infallible.
No, definitely there's some mistakes in there. I know Jadon in his interview after the last match highlighted a few of them. Boz has played very well in the last game. I think he had some issues yesterday, especially when he played against us. But
yeah, the technical issues were definitely
well, he's blaming the technical issues, but I think he was just intimidated.
Blame Peak. We'll blame Peak.
Yeah. Going back to the world records briefly, I did hear Epos mid-round yesterday saying he was on 0.5 pace on soccer. So I really want to see someone absolutely blast that world record.
I want to see world records go throughout the entire throughout the entire best of 5, right? And speaking of 5, I want to see a map 5. We haven't seen it yet, and if there's there has to be this game, right? These 2 teams so close together, and it's too tough to call.
I mean, I think if I was to give you a prediction, it was what, 3-1 before? Moonveil looked really good on their... Oh, it wasn't even their own map. What map was it, Idol? Can you remember?
It was the first map. I can't remember which one, but
Can you remember?
It was the first map of the game after a long pause between the games, because, again, Geese Can Fly have had this weird difficulty where the moment they're having long pauses, they have a slow start.
Yeah.
It was soccer.
Was it soccer?
Yeah,
okay.
Boz randomly selected a map and it ended up on soccer, and Epos wasn't very impressed with his tactical skills.
No strategy, just vibes.
No.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think, going back to prediction, 3-1 earlier, I could see a 3-1, but a closer 3-1 is what I'm predicting. Like, not necessarily, 10-4 map scores. I think we could get to a point where we're like, 7-7, both teams on track point. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think there'll be some... I think some maps are definitely going to be won by one side. I think soccer's almost certainly Epos's. I think Flower is going to be very difficult to beat Epos on, but it does depend on how good Vinky can be, because he played really well in the last game. So if he can keep that pressure on.
I think the two toughest maps to call are going to be Perfect Blue and Peak, if we see those at all. Like, those two could be the ones that they sort of just gentlemen's out of the pool, like, see if we actually get to those. But yeah, those two are the maps where, like, definitely Perfect Blue has been a struggle of Moonveil, and Peak has been, yesterday, we can blame the technical issues, but that was the map that Boz looked the weakest on during their 3-1 loss. Well, 3-1 win yesterday. Their round loss.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's going to be it from us. We're going to go to the grand final after a short break. Who wins? Trent on track.